Hello, this is Jeff Evans, taking you through the AAT Level 3, the Advanced Diploma, the Synoptic Assessment, in particular the spreadsheet task, so 2.1. So I'll take you through it. This one is, so it says you are Sam Jones, part qualified accounting technician, and you work for BLM & Co., a business which manufactures and retails sinks. It says BLM & Co. is owned and run by Brian and Lukmani Moore in partnership. Blah 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 blah. It then says BLM & Co. originally budgeted to make and sell 5,000 sinks in the quarter to 31st of March 2008. Due to a marketing campaign, it said they've actually sold 6,000 sinks in the quarter. We'll need that information later when it comes to looking at the original budget. Okay? So just bear in mind that the budget to sell 5,000 sinks, but they sold 6. Okay? So we'll do the allocation and apportionment question now. It says BLM & Co. is 2 profit centres, retail and manufacturing, and 1 support cost centre administration, which is here, as we can see. So you've got retail, manufacturing and admin. It said administration supports the 2 profit centres with 70% of its time spent in retail and 30% of its time spent in manufacturing. It said the worksheet called Absorption shows information regarding overheads and a list of the basis for apportionment. You started completing it last week, but now needs to finish allocating and apportioning the overheads. Just make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So we're going to open up the absorption worksheet, B22 to 24. It says where you got the bases, and we're going to do them accordingly in relation to the overhead absorption table. Okay, so as you know, when you did this costing unit on level 3, when you did allocation, apportionment and absorption, so you know that depreciation always tends to be on the carrying value or the net book value of the assets concerned. So we've got machinery, so we've got £214,000, £214,500 of machinery, of which 19,500 of that is in retail, and manufacturing have got the most. They've got 195,000 of the machinery. So on that basis, as I always tend to say to students, it's fair that they pay most of the depreciation charge, and the depreciation charge is 71,500. So the first thing we're going to do is the basis of apportionment, and as we said, so equals carrying value. So I'm just going to move that into that base of apportionment. And salaries, it tells us here retail, manufacturing and administration, so that's going to be allocated because we know what they are. Sorry, so allocate, so equals and then allocation. Okay, that's it. So for the first one, for depreciation, so we've got equals, so we've got the overhead, which is 71,500, okay, times, and then we do retail, so they've got £19,500 of machinery out of a total, so divided by the total of 214,500. Manufacturing, so again, so equals, so the overhead times, and then we've got 195,000 divided by 214,500 equals 65,000. Okay, so I like to tick these off as we've done it. Tick them off as we've done it. So use a formula for each profit centre and cost centre in row 25 with the total of all the overheads in F25. So what it's saying is, I've not done the allocations yet, have I? So let's do the salaries. So equals, so retail is 46, manufacturing is 64, and admin is 55. Okay, it wants us to do the totals now, so we're going to do the total of the overheads. So Autosum. Okay, I'm going to drag it across because then it should copy all the formulas over. But for some reason I've been having problems with my version of Excel. My good friend Deb, she did some recordings of this spreadsheet activity as well, and she had the same problems. I found out how to correct it now, so let me show you. So when I drag them over, I'll just do one of them for the moment. You see it should, see equals B22 to D24 isn't the same as C22 to C24. See? So for some reason I don't know what's wrong with the spreadsheets, with the spreadsheet itself, but what I've found out that you can do in that particular example, so if you do Control Alt and F9, it updates the formulas and it corrects the formula. Because ultimately, as I said before, if I just did Autosum here, then it does it, see? So it does it just by doing Autosum. But once you've got the right form, you should just be able to copy it across, okay? But again, as I said before, for some reason, it's not working. So Control Alt F9, and that puts it right. Okay? Your version of Excel might not have the same problems. But there we go. So we've updated that one there. And now we're going to reapportion the total cost of the admin support centre to retail and manufacturing. So it tells us in the question, let's go back again, it tells us here, does it? So it says that administration even supports the two profit centres with 70% of the time spent in retail and 30% in manufacturing. So that's 73,621. We're going to reapportion it accordingly. So retail is, so admin is 70% of the time is spent in retail, so equals 73,621 times 0.7 gives us how much we're going to put in retail cost centre, or profit centre even, and we've got equals 73,620 times 0.3. Which gives us 22,086. So we've done that. And for the next one, it says now use a round function to show the totals for retail and manufacturing as whole numbers. So in here, when we do the totals, it wants them to be in whole numbers using the round function. I'll show you two ways of doing it. So equals, so 68,017 plus the reapportioned overhead from administration. Whoops, daisy. What have we done? I put equals, and I should have put plus. See, this gives us 119,551. But it wants us to round it up. So what? So to round to the nearest pound. So ROU and see you got round. So I'll double click. Okay, so round to the nearest whole number. C 25 to 26. We have to put the 0 in because that takes it to the nearest whole number. And then you'll see it's taking it to 52. And then for this one, I'll do it this time. We'll do equals round. Double click, and it's 64,000. No, it's not. It's 154,000 plus 22,000, comma 0, which gives us 176,948. Let's just total those across while we're at it. Okay. So we've done that. So now it's saying to us, in order to check your totals, we're going to use conditional formatting to colour the cell F27 green if it equals C9 and red if not. So what it's basically saying, that if F27 is the same or equals C9, then this cell is going to be green, and if not, it's going to be red. And we're going to use conditional formatting, which we can see here. So conditional formatting, I'm just going to put in a new rule because that's what I tend to do. And the easy one tends to be format cells that contain. Okay, so the cell value, so we're in the cell that we want to check, and we want it to equal to, so we want it to be equal to C9. Okay, so we want it to be equal C9. And if that is the case, then we want to turn it green. So I want to fill it green. Fill it green. And it said Philip green. Okay. Click OK. And you'll see that it highlights it in green. Okay. But we also need to do it, if it's not the right number, then it needs to be red. So we'll go back to manage rules this time. So because we're going to the rule, that's what we did previously. So we're going to apply a new rule, and this time cell value still in there, not equal to, so not equal to C9, and this time if it's not equal to, then we need to turn it to red. Okay, so click OK, OK, and I'll just show you, if I change that to 296499, it turns it red. And certainly when the assessor is checking it, I'm sure that's what they'll do, so it's worthwhile making sure that it's worked properly. Okay, so we've done that. So highlight it, and then it says we're going to copy and paste link the totals for retail and manufacturing into cells C12 and C13. So it's basically saying these total figures for retail and manufacturing we're going to put in the original budget. Okay, and it tells us to do it as a paste link. So I'm going to click on it, I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go to retail, and I'm going to paste link. So I'll just right click, and you see you've got these various paste functions here. So it's the paste link. So it means if you change anything in the original table, it will automatically change it. Okay, let's go back again, what's happened there. So paste link. Okay, and then for manufacturing again, so copy, there's the original budget, paste link. Okay, so we've done that part. Okay, and then it says in the original original budget worksheet, it says in D1, use a formula to calculate the percentage by which the original budget, in light of the actual activity in the quarter ending 31st of March 2008. Okay, so in the original budget, so we said before that they were budgeted to make and sell 5,000 sinks, but they sold 6,000 sinks. So as you know, so the formula is 6,000, so 6,000 sinks minus 4,000 sinks, sorry, minus 5,000 sinks, and then divide it by 5,000 will give us what the percentage increase is. It says 0, I'll show you why, because it wants us to do it to a certain way. Okay, it wants us to do it to percentage, but it wants us to use the hash dot hash percentage. So this is done through conditional formatting. I've delivered this unit for a number of years, and it caused a particular problem when it first changed, when the new standards changed to AQ 2016. But hopefully we've got used to it, and literally you're just going to be typing in what it asks you to do. The assessor will check it, so it's worthwhile making sure you do it properly. Okay, so this one here, so it's right click, format cells, and you're going to go into custom format, and in here where you've got type, it said hash dot hash and then percentage, then click OK. So that's done it to percentage. It is to 2 decimal places, I know, but it doesn't seem as if that works for some reason, but it does work. The thing I found a bit frustrating about, because every time I've ever done that, it's never done it to 20% like that. Okay, but however, if I just changed it to percentage, it is, okay, and that will be correct. However, he is saying, or the person, the assessor is saying, is they want you to do it to custom format. Again, as I said before, so hash dot hash hash percentage, okay, 20%. It now says in D7 to D13, create a flex budget, insert formulas to flex the revenue and costs where necessary, use absolute cell referencing to the percentage in D1. So absolute cell references means just fixing that 20%. So when we go revenue here, so for the revenue in the original budget, so we're going to flex it by 20%. So given that £950,000 is what our revenue was for 5,000 units, then what should it have been for 6,000 units? Okay, so equals, whoops a daisy, sorry, the flex budget, so equals, if I do 950,000 times 20%, that would just obviously give you 20% of the 950,000. So we go C7 divided by D1, and it says absolute cell referencing, which is F4, because that fixes the cell, so we can do the copy or carry the calculations down, and then plus the 950,000 equals, okay. So given that we actually produced and sold 6,000 sinks, we should have made 1,140,000. And the same, because we've done the absolute cell reference, when we drag it down here, it basically, we should say 90,000 times 20% plus 90,000, okay. It's not going to, for the same reason I said before. For some reason it just copies the same figure down, okay. So I'll show you how to do that again in a minute, but before I do that, let's just do the fix, because you need to really bear in mind and concentrate when you're doing this. RTFQ, read the flipping question. So we've got revenue and materials and variable overheads, but then we've got to the fix. So the fixed ones, as you know, are fixed. So let's fix those. And fix manufacturing. Okay, so I said before, that was the absolute cell, so it should, when you copy it down, it should make everything correct. But because something with my Excel that's not working particularly well, I'm just going to do Control Alt and F9, and that will put right what the figures should be. Okay, and you'll see D1 stays the same all the time. That's called the absolute cell referencing, because we fixed it. Okay, I think we should be right on that one. Yeah, okay, so we've done that. And then it says to calculate the operating figure, calculate the operating, start again, the operating profit figures for the original budget, flexed and actual. Okay, so we want the operating, which is equals, so it's the 950,000 minus the sum, so the sum of D8 down to D13, and then close brackets. Okay, same problems if I drag it across, so I'll do it just to highlight the fact you can remember what you need to do. So equals sales revenue minus the sum of all the costs. Okay, again, what I should be able to do is just drag it over. I'm not going to harp on about it too much, it's just annoying because I can't find out why that is. So if I just do Control Alt F9, and that will give me the correct figures. Okay, that's it. So we've done that, and now we need to do from F7 to F13, we need to do the variances between the flexed budget and the actual results, showing the adverse variance as negative figures with a minus sign. Excuse me. So remember with revenue, because this is where students mostly go wrong. So we're looking at the actual results was 1.2 million, and we expected it to be through the flex budget as 1.14 million. So obviously that's a positive variance. So we're going to do equals, so the actual minus the flex budget. Yep, so it's 60,000. Okay, so the actual minus the flex. When it comes to your budget figures, then obviously you expected your overheads to be 108,000, but they weren't, they were 109. So this time we're going to do the budget against the actual. So equals D8 minus E8, and you see that gives you a minus figure here. Okay, again, you should be able to just drag it across. Control Alt F9 if need be, and that's what we need to do. So you just see it's the budget, flex budget minus the actual. Okay, and then we're going to do this total variance in here, so the total sum of the variances. So Autosum gives us 70,800. Okay, so we've done the flex budget showing the minus signs if need be, and then we've put a formula in F14 to calculate the operating profit variance. Super duper. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, next thing says that Brian and Lukmani have been told by the bank that their target profit for the next quarter must be £220,000. Brian wants to know how much the cost of direct materials would need to be reduced in order to meet this profit figure. Okay, so I'll explain what it means. So it's saying that for your profits to be £220,000, what would your direct materials to figure need to be? So how much would that need to reduce by to give you a profit of 220,000? And we're going to use a function called goal seek, which is really good, which just explains, so for us to get a profit of that, then the cost would need to be whatever they would need to be. Okay, but just a few things before that. So it said to be able to answer the question you need to use a goal seek function, but you must capture the evidence in the worksheet called screen print before accepting the goal seek. Okay, that's important, because when you're doing the exam you need to make sure that you do it first. Okay, because before you click OK, which you'll see in a minute, is you need to do the print screen. Okay, you'll see why shortly. So we're going to copy all of the data from the original budget, not paste link, just copy and paste, into the goal seek worksheet starting in A1. So from the original budget, so we're going to copy, what does it want us to copy? Copy all of the data in the original budget worksheet. Okay, so copy, and we're going to put that into goal seek, just paste. Okay, so we've done that, and then in the goal seek worksheet we're going to use that function now, but before we click OK we need to do a screenshot. Again, I said this is really important, so watch. Okay, so as I said before, for profit to be 200,000, what does direct materials need to reduce by? Okay, so we're going to go into data, and it's in what we call what if analysis, and it's called goal seek. Okay, so goal seek, so it says, so it's this cell to be 220,000. So for E14 it says to value, so we know the value is 220,000. Okay, so 220,000 is the profit by changing which figure? I'll show you in a second once I've completed it. Okay, and I've not clicked OK yet. So you say, so for E14 to be 220,000 by changing E9, so the direct materials 2, okay? So you'll see what that direct materials figure needs to be to enable us to achieve a profit of 220,000. But before doing that, it says do your print screen, so I'm doing that now. So print screen, and now I can click OK. Watch, and you'll see that the £220,000 profit means that direct materials would need to reduce to 113,900. Okay, and then go to this print screen, so the assessor knows that you know how to do the function, and then paste, and then you'll see you've got the original worksheet before you've done the goal seek. Okay, so we've covered that part of it, and we've finished this part of this activity now. So we've completed 2.1 of the sample assessment 1. In the next week or so I'll also complete the sample assessment 2 activity, or task number 2. Okay, good luck with your forthcoming assessment.